fiancée was cheating on me, so I destroyed her on her birthday party and took brutal revenge. I, Ryan, 25, am writing this here now. 3 days after I did what I still think is a good way to carry out revenge on someone who's cheating on you. I am still dismayed that the relationship had to end the way it did, but I am happy I got the last laugh. Or I think I got the last laugh, I don't even know. I still love her, and it's crazy that I had to go through the shit Jennifer put me through. I apologize if anyone gets mad that I do her or something. Honestly, I do not give a fuck at this point. It's early days, I know, but I wish the pain could heal faster than it is healing right now. I used to be one of those guys who thought moving on from a relationship with someone you spent years loving would be a piece of cake. Well, here I am, narrating to people a tale that hurts me so much because I don't know what else to do. There's an empty bottle on my table as I type this on my PC. I've already lost 3 of the trades I started this morning. My eyes are teary from losing almost half the money I've made from my Forex trading this month in just under 2 hours. Or maybe it's from the fact that I've spent the last hour before now thinking about the girl I've loved for 1/10 of my 25 years. All I know is that I just need a break. It's been a month and 20 days since I found out about my ex-girlfriend's affair, and just 5 days since I decided to channel my younger brother's energy and go full petty little demon on her. Want to know what's worse? I have to go return a ring and give a reason as to why I'm returning said ring. I decided I was going to dump my former fiancée at her birthday party after finding out through my best bud that she was cheating on me with her gym instructor. Yet crazy, isn't it? Well, grab a popcorn, because this is a long one. I met Jennifer at a party I crashed on a dare, the girl I last dated before Jenny got married 3 years ago. I wasn't invited because I'll have to hold my hand up and admit that I was a shit boyfriend to her. We were in high school, and I didn't know anything about relationships, so admittedly, I treated her the way I would any other girl. Because we all went to the same high school, all my boys, which consisted of 6 boys, myself included, and 2 girls, were invited to the wedding party. Up until the 3 days before the wedding, I wasn't planning to attend. Simply put, don't go if you're not invited. But I went out for drinks with the boys, and as we drank, they talked up the wedding party. They shared the venue. I don't remember, but it was one of those really expensive places that got wrecked during the pandemic lull. The night out quickly turned into basically a roast of Ryan Bradley. Jokes were flying around about how I fumbled a bad bitch, how I still haven't had another girlfriend since her while she was getting married to a millionaire, how her life would have been worse if she stayed with me, and if she had put up with my gaslighting and all the other things I did to her. I put up with all of their talk because I wasn't paying for any of the drinks. When I heard that Crave Food and Drinks were catering at the wedding, my interest peaked. Crave is a very well-known catering service that has, till now, the best sushi I've ever tasted. They also have this special Crave Veggie, which is a delicacy I think they invented themselves. That was the first time I thought I'd have been nice to have gotten an invite. Like, let me have another taste of their delicacy. Well, as we talked and drank on, Tracy, one of the ladies in the group, thought it would be funny if she bet me to go either way. "I've got $10 for you if you crash the wedding," she said as she laid the money on the table. They all laughed, urging me to take the bet and not be a chicken. Me, being the lightweight that I am, who was already kind of drunk, responded, "Well, I'll raise the bet. $20 and I'll give a toast during the reception." Everyone quickly took the bet. It was only on the day of the wedding that I realized what I was about to do, lol. I was on my daily run when it hit me. So you're going to crash a wedding because of $120? I mean, hell yeah, I would. Free meals and drinks from the catering service I liked, plus enough money for a week's worth of food stuff. Remember, this was in 2019, so yeah. You bet your ass I was going to be at the wedding party. I got the location from Davis, the one who I'd consider closest among the boys, and waited until he texted me that it was about time I came down. I breezed in with swiftness, got a chair, and put it in the section high school friends part of the hall. I caught up with the guys who I never met after leaving Eastwood High. Then a few moments after, I ate the sushi that brought me there. I made my toast, which was mostly me heaping praise on my ex-girlfriend and then praying that they have a blissful union. I stayed a while longer than I thought I would, mainly because I was a dirty dog who was scanning through the bridesmaids to see which one looked the most unhappily happy about the wedding. because that one was the most vulnerable, and I could get with. I was looking for a one-night stand. That was when I was introduced to Jennifer. My ex-girlfriend was a friend of hers, and she came to thank me for coming out even though I wasn't invited, and for the toast which I gave. We hugged and talked for a while, laughing at what our relationship was. I made a joke about being the one who was at the altar with her if only I had been more invested in her as she was in me. Then I said, "At least it worked out for good. You're now happily married to someone who might be richer than everyone I know combined." Jennifer stood beside us as we spoke for a while before she was introduced to me. She looked very pretty and had these rare green eyes. I was always someone who found an attraction to people who don't have the common black or brown eye color. I got charmed by her eyes. The fact that he had green eyes, added to the long natural lashes, and the way her eyes angled like a smirk, all combined to make me lost in those eyes of hers. As she spoke, I started to hear less and less of what she was because I kept wondering how I'd lived in this area for 23 years and never crossed paths with this beauty before now. She noticed and drew my attention time and again though, which was nice and funny. "You know, it was nice of you to show up even though you weren't invited, and the toast you got," she started to say, but I cut her off to say, "Well, I was here on a dare because I never go anywhere. I am not invited, but what I said in the speech was how I felt about the situation." I then added that I wanted to make a joke about the groom getting my leftovers, and we both laughed at how funny that was. She then went on to tell me how the bride and the groom met, how the groom was her ex, who treated her badly, and how she had to leave him, how she and the bride became friends when they met at college, how the groom had initially come to the college with a box of chocolate and some roses to apologize but met her instead. As she spoke, I started to see a story form. My ex was here now, getting married to someone who treated this beautiful lady badly in a relationship while I was here, falling hopelessly for Jennifer almost 8 or 9 years after being a real future-type toxic boyfriend to her friend on the podium. I tried to remind myself that I only stayed back to find a lady to warm my schlong for the night, but it was seemingly too late already. I was falling for those green eyes and the personality that had it. "Do you want to get away from here?" was the next thing that came out of my mouth. Her eyes lit up and, wow, I really would spend a day looking into those beautiful green eyes of hers. We went to the bride so Jenny could tell her that she would be leaving. Then we went out of the auditorium, but not before I walked to my friends and grabbed my winnings from the group. I didn't know what kind of a date I should do, so I just took her to a carnival, lol. It was funny, the rides, watching her marvel at the magicians, finding out she was scared of clowns, then laughing my ass off after I tipped a clown $10 to chase her. As we talked, walking around the carnival, we walked past Olaf from Frozen. I made a joke that flew over her head. That was when she mentioned she hadn't seen Frozen at all. Not 1 and not 2, which came out in the cinemas almost a month before then. I took her to go see it. I thought if we were lucky we would fund a cinema that'd show both. Well, we were lucky. I must take this time to shout out to Olaf, because if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have dated her. Although, yes, she did end up ripping my heart out of my chest, but yeah, the time we did spend together was great. And it was all thanks to Olaf. Well, and the guys that dared me to crash said wedding. We started to go out together every weekend as she had a job. Those weekends were very nice and all. With each passing week, I felt more and more passionate about her. Didn't take long before I was totally in love with her. In December 2019, I got a job. I started working as an IS rep in a hotel in the area. I helped fix their computer automated doors when damaged, helped set up, fix, and monitor the CCTV and its footage, plus other internet security duties that needed carrying out. We all know this job was short-lived because not up to 3 months later, COVID-19 shut down this whole country. When the COVID came, the hotel tried to keep running under the COVID restrictions, but when it was decided that the whole country should be on lockdown, they had no choice but to align with the government. Jennifer and I were just 2 months into our relationship then, and we decided that we should move in together since we wouldn't be able to see much of each other if we stayed in separate housing during the lockdown. I also thought moving in with her would be a good way to save the money I had earned from working just 3 months with the hotel. My rent expired while she still had 6 months left on hers, so I moved into her apartment. It was a good place, a 1-room apartment at the top of a 5-story building. It had a big veranda, an open-air one. which she used to plant a few crops. She was growing tomatoes, string beans, and some other fruits and veggies. For the first few months, we were just a couple of lovebirds we had a lot of sex in those few months. So much so that, for a while, I was nutting air. It was like a honeymoon, proudly sponsored by the pandemic. She still worked her job regardless because the company she worked with found a way to make most of the workers carry out their duties remotely. I was a very good cook, which means we didn't spend a lot on DoorDash and the likes. I made dishes which she loved and always hyped up. Sometimes she'd ask me if I had ever thought of opening up a restaurant. She would always compare my cooking to that of Crave. I knew better anyway, and I knew it was just girlfriend doing girlfriend things. A year and some months into our relationship, the COVID restrictions started to cool off. I went job hunting almost immediately, as I didn't want to spend any more time idle. I had used the pandemic to learn a few programming languages. I was already a beast in using HTML and CSS to create web pages. I had delved into JavaScript and had quite literally made front-end, developing my plaything. I had also started to brush up my cybersecurity skills. It had been 4 years since I graduated and I had started to slack, due to not working on improving my skills. I used to be a white hat, but now I couldn't hack for shit. I still knew how to run my physing though, because that was always lightweight for me. So when the COVID restrictions started to cool off, I went back to look for a job where I wouldn't have to do too much work so that I could continue my learning process, but something that paid good enough for me to still see myself as a man. Within a month, I had got a job at a bank, working in the cybersecurity department. It paid better than whatever it was I set out looking for initially, as I earned roughly $48K annum after tax. Life was starting to look great. There was still a plus side to the new job. It was hybrid, and I only had to come to the office on call-ins, which meant I could work from home and not have to be at the bank until I got a call to show up. On the other hand, my now ex-girlfriend had to resume working physically, though also hybridized due to there still being some limitations to the maximum number of people allowed at a work environment at once. This meant she went to work 3 days in a week. One thing I forgot to add that's crucial to the telltale is that the bank which I got hired at was just a stone's throw from where she works at. When Jennifer resumed at her office, they were informed that the company had employed a new manager who was brought in to help with restructuring the workers. According to her, a third of the workers lost their jobs, and she would have been a part of those unfortunate people if not for Grace. She was very religious and all. I guess Grace is a 34-year-old manager whose dick she was comfortably jumping on. Meanwhile, because I scarcely had to be at the bank where I worked, I went to get back my old job at the hotel. I tried to get it remotely, but because I had to be there to fix 1 or 2 technological faults and what have you, I was able to get the job on a freelance basis. They'd call for me whenever, and I'd come over and fix whatever issues they had. They also paid me to train the staff they had brought to replace me. All in all, I was able to recover swiftly from the pandemic. My ex started to become a lot more fond of her boss. She started to have a lot of tales about him, about how he never let anyone talk over him, how the meetings were quiet whenever he spoke, and how he basically had the whole team on a chokehold. Not much longer, she started staying out longer and got promoted to vice manager or assistant manager or something of that sort. According to her, that meant that, unlike other workers, she was now mandated to be at the office daily. It also meant she now works under the guy she always talks about. As time went on, things started to get a little rifty between us. Sometimes she would pick a fight about the littlest of things and flip out about them for days. Sometimes she wouldn't talk to me for 2 days or more. Everything about our sweet and blissful relationship started to get off-brand. She started to go out and stay out long, sometimes with friends from work, other times with people she wouldn't tell me because there's no need to tell you as you won't know them. It was all very sus, and also was already acting too out of touch. I tried everything in my own power to see if I could fix things for us, if I could make her happier about our relationship. One day I decided to talk about it. I sat beside her as she sorted her clothes for washing, and I started to lay all my worries at the table. I told her how I thought she was becoming a little too hostile, how she clearly had issues with something I'm doing and doesn't communicate those issues well, which makes her blow out whenever. I told her I loved her, and I wanted us to work out whatever issues we had been having. It actually resonated with her, and she started to even have a conversation about it. She said she knew she might have hurt me in her actions, but that the stress of the new position was getting to her. even though she never really apologized for the nagging and name-calling that I had to endure during that time. I was just happy to have my girl back in a good headspace. It was good to have her talk to me again, to hold her tight in my arms, and to kiss her like I used to. Needless to say, the sex was crazy that day. Although we had resolved the issue, shit started to pop off again after another month. This time, I had started to really suspect that someone else was giving her the attention she needed, which was why she was so comfortable making a fuss around the house. To be fair, I didn't handle the situation well. How did I handle it? I asked her to marry me. I was a very stupid boy. I took her on the beach one day on a weekend vacation of some sorts. I booked a beach house and bought tickets for some entertainment while we were out. On the last day of the trip, I proposed to her. She was overjoyed. She jumped on me and we both fell in the ocean. The waves were strong that day and we were lucky that we weren't carried off by it, lol. We went home stronger, or so I thought. One day I got called to the back to help work on the manager office's door and to also work the servers. Normally, whenever I would go into work, I would call Jennifer ahead of time to tell her I'd stop by her place so we could have dinner outside. This time I decided not to today. I decided that I was going to surprise her by bringing her flowers myself, all those lovey-dovey bees. After working on the servers at the bank, I headed to a nearby store to get some flowers. I got said flowers and headed for my girl's office. This was when I saw her and a man dressed in a suit holding each other's hands and walking towards a black Tesla. The man had the same build as the new manager whom she frequently spoke about at home. Okay, what the fuck is this? I thought to myself. I reached for my phone and dialed her number. I wanted to hear what she was going to say, wanted to know how she was going to respond. Was she going to tell the truth and say she headed out the office with someone, or was she going to straight up lie about it, which would mean she might be having an affair? She didn't pick up the first time, nor the second. At the third time she did, and I asked where she was. She responded with a sassy, "Look at the time you're calling. Shouldn't you know yourself that I'm at the office?" I told her I was at my office, that I got called in to fix something. I told her I wanted to come up to her, but she said I wouldn't be let in as they had already maxed out the capacity for their place due to COVID restrictions. What a blatant lie. I listened to her as she lied, but I was already inside the building. I simply dropped the food I bought and the flowers, and then I left. Now it was no longer a suspicion. She was definitely having an affair. Later that day, she called me, saying she would stay out late. I called one of my buddies and we went out for a drink. I told him I needed to borrow his car as I needed to trace my girl the next day to see what she was doing. He handed me his keys and I drove him home and went back to my place. She came back home around 11 p.m., looking all bent out of shape. She looked stressed and tired and her hair was a mess. I knew for sure what it was. Someone was blowing her back out. I talked to her and we cuddled for a while. She fell asleep and I took her phone. Maybe I could find evidence that she was indeed cheating. I didn't find anything. But as they say, the absence of evidence is not the absence of the evidence of absence. Her chat with Tom Manager was incoherent and incomprehensible, which meant there were things deleted and meant that she was hiding something. I installed a Track My Phone app on her phone, linked it with mine, and went back to bed. The next day, I decided to check it at midday. She was no longer at the office. I took the cat I borrowed and trailed her to where it was the map showed she was at. As God would have it, it was the hotel which I still worked for. I had been putting off my last day as a trainer, so I just walked in and took the staff up to the ICT tower with me. I went straight to the CCTV footage to find what room they were in. I first started with the conference rooms, hoping that she would be in a meeting or something like that. Even though I already knew within me that she was definitely cheating, I just hoped she would prove me wrong. Well, she didn't. Then I scanned through the camera, room by room, searching for her. When I got to room 2 on 12A, I saw my girl on her knees, her head bobbing up and down as she was deep-throating this dude's wiener like no man's business. The 3 boys laughed as they saw what came on the screen. This is why you should always have CCTV in your apartments. Who knows? You might catch your girl in the act when she's cheating on you. They boys said nothing again. I stayed a few minutes as I wanted to grab a tape for her and the dude. Then I left. As I got down, I turned in my 2 weeks' notice and walked out. I sat in the car for a full hour, lost in thoughts. Then I went to my broski's to return his car. We discussed the matter for a while when he gave me an idea for a cruel revenge. See, her birthday was 2 months away, and at that point we would be just a month away from the day we scheduled for our wedding. He decided that since I got a recording of them in action that I could simply forward it out to every member of the family at the birthday party. That it would make much more sense to hurt her the way she hurt me. Honestly, it resonated a lot with me, and I decided that I would be doing just that. She had initially said she wanted to stay in on her birthday, but with the help of her mom and sisters, I was able to put together a huge party for her. I invited a lot of people to the birthday party, her friends, co-workers, and even said manager who was the affair partner. I wanted it to be a big one. The whole family were happy with me for trying to do something so beautiful for their sister-daughter. Well, the beauty will unfortunately become ugly in a few seconds. On the 21st of January 2022, the D-Day, IDK, I don't know how you guys refer to it. Anyway, as the party started, I walked up to her AP. He didn't know who I was, so it was easy for us to hold a conversation. "Hey, who are you to the birthday girl?" I asked him. "Well, we work together," he said. "Oh, you're the boss she said she's fucking? Heard she was given a promotion just because of that." He looked surprised, but accepted that he had already been found out. "Shh," he started. "Don't let the HR hear that. Some of them are here." We went on to have more conversation. I wanted to know if he was in love with her. I wanted to know if she would just simply replace me with this fool sitting beside me. For a moment, I felt like I should fuck his shit up. I knew I could take him, and I wanted to take him on. I wanted to be honest to God, shatter his teeth or something. I just had to settle with what would happen to them after my plan was done. When it was time, I raised a glass and called everyone's attention to me. I started my speech. "Today, we celebrate this beautiful lady. She never really wanted something this big. At least that's what she said," I started. The next part I said, looking her boss dead in the eyes. "Jennifer, you taught me how to love and thank God for bringing you into my life." He got up and left, judging from the look on his face. He definitely knew he was in trouble now. The next 3 minutes I spent heaping praise on her. She was all smiles and blushing heavily. Then I went to my plan. Everyone who RSVP'd was added to a group chat. I would like to play a video that shows you all how much I love this lady standing in front of me, but I couldn't afford a projector. So I decided to send it to the group chat. So if you open your phone right now, you'll find a video there. I dropped the video in the group and the people started to watch it. It was the video of her and her boss going at it in the hotel. The horror on their faces when they saw the clip was crazy. "Jenny, I know what you did. I know about your infidelity. I've known for a while now, and I was waiting till now to tell you I know. The wedding is off, as you should have figured out by now. You're free to run whatever narrative you feel like to people who aren't here about why we didn't work. Frankly, I don't care anymore. Don't worry, I've moved out, and I don't care." I walked out of the place, me and my boys. We then went out for drinks at the bar we used to all go to twice a week before I moved in with Jenny. Well, it's been 3 days and my phone has been blowing up constantly. She has been trying to reach out to me, sending texts and all, FaceTiming, everything. At some point, I decided I was going to block the number so that I won't keep getting disturbed by her. She chose her fate. I'm sure it was going on long before I found out. But her luck ran out that day. It's been hard not to think of her and her affair and how she hurt me. Also, I know it's going to get worse before it gets better. Somehow, I wish I can just skip past it. I've taken advice from Andrew Tate and have decided to start hitting the gym. I'll register tomorrow. I think I've spent a lot of my time working on my relationship. Now I need to work on myself. I'll be here in the comments if you guys have anything to say to me. I need advice on how to get better as a person. Thank you for reading. Update 1. So a lot of you have been asking me both on here and on my private mail to post an update on how the story has gone now. Some of you wanted me to patch things up with her. To those people, I'd like to say one word: no. Others showed support with my decision to leave. And of those other people, a ton found my revenge to be very funny and well-deserved, while some found it to be too far. I understand both POVs, and I'd like to explain why I did what I did. 1. Peer pressure. Yes. I have a very cold-minded guy for a friend. He is one of those guys who thinks Thanos was right. So yeah, when I was down and angry and disappointed in my ex, I turned to him, and his idea of taking revenge on her resonated with me. 2. I wanted to make sure I hurt her just as bad as she did me. I successfully did so. She got fired from her workplace just a few weeks after that incident. She didn't get any layoff package despite working with them for close to 5 years, mainly because, according to the rules of the company, if two workers are found to be having an affair, that both would be fired and without any package or bonuses. She had once told me that I and her job are the only things keeping her sane, and I thought since she messed with my sanity, I would definitely be shitting all over hers. Thirdly, I wanted to hurt her affair partner too. Her affair partner was a married man with 2 kids. This is something I found out later. Which means that he too decided that he was going to jeopardize his marriage and career for what? Sex with someone whose wife is admittedly finer than her? Trust me guys, I've seen his wife. That B is attractive. As for her AP, he once called me to talk. He apologized for ruining my relationship and explained that she was the one who threw herself on him. This wasn't what I wanted to be hearing, not even remotely. He told me that if ruining both their lives was what I set out to do, that I had successfully done so. This is not the time to brag, but yeah, when he said that, I felt a little fulfilled. He told me the company took away the car and house that came with his managerial position, and his wife took the house he bought, alongside 60% of what he had spent his years earning. He told me he now also has to pay child support for 2 kids who are under the age of 10, whilst having no job, and to be fair, that was the only time I pitied him. Still, if you can't do the time, don't do the crime. As for my sleazy ex, who threw herself at another man, I unblocked her number months later. She has met up with 3 of my boys, the 2 ladies and one of the dudes. They all told me what she said and all, how she had lost so much weight she now puts belts and ropes on her trousers, how her eyes were looking so heavy from crying too much. They told me how she had told them that she wanted to try to make amendments, that she knew asking me to come back to her would be an impossible task, but that she would simply settle for one last meetup. She was the topic of one of our drinking games. We each took a shot if someone said a significant thing they hated about her. Guess what? We each took about 12 shots, except our designated driver, who took just 3. As for needing closure, I don't function like that. Most times I don't even look for closure, and this is certainly one of those times. I just simply move on. Although the conversation I had with her AP and seeing how badly I had ruined his life gave me the closure I needed and desired. Oh, and her church posted a sermon based on her infidelity on one of their church papers in the month of March. It was funny. This is Christmas Eve, and after our round of drinks at the bar, everyone has gone back to their various homes. So I'm here in this self-contained place, which is a lot smaller than the place I shared with Jenny. I miss the fresh air that came from the garden she was going to. I miss cuddling with someone I love. I don't miss her, though. I just miss being loved. My boys give me love, though, but we all know it's just not the same thing. Tomorrow, I'd be going to her church. My friends and I have made a habit of showing up at the church and mingling with some of the females. It started as something I did to spite her. Trust me, it worked. But now, I guess I'm just back to my Barney Stinson ways. I'm 26, almost 27, which means I'm still very young. Right now, I'm not looking for love, nor am I looking for a committed relationship. Right now, I just want to fuck until I don't think about this hurt anymore. Thank you guys for reaching out to me, for telling me I'm not alone in this, even though I already knew that. It was just nice to hear. To end on a good note, I'll tell you guys about my progress at the gym. I now weigh a good 201 pounds. With my tall frame, I now look like a beast. I think I'm going to stop trying to gain more weight and just focus on maintaining this frame. I might take up boxing also, just for the fun of it. Oh. And I'm now a full-stack dev. Life makes a little bit more sense now.
Hey Reddit, Kenneth here. I've got a story that I need to get off my chest, and maybe you folks can give me some perspective. Or at least hear me out. It's been one hell of a week. So, it's just your average Wednesday night, and I'm at the dinner table in our apartment overlooking the Space Needle. The place is sleek and modern, the kind of spot you'd expect a couple of up-and-comers like Melissa and me to live in. I'm a real estate agent. Been doing it for a good 10 years now, and Melissa, she's in marketing. We're the power couple on paper, you know. Anyway, there we are, having our usual chicken and rice, Melissa's signature dish, when she starts in on me about this office party on Friday. It's not the first time we've danced around this conversation. She's got this boss who thinks he's God's gift to the advertising world, and she wants me there to schmooze and booze with the execs. Only thing is, these shindigs are a special kind of torture for me. So I tell her straight, Mel, babe, you know I'd rather stick forks in my eyes than go to that thing. I'm trying to keep it light, but she's having none of it. Her eyes are doing that thing where they get all stormy, and she's got that set to her jaw that says we're in for a long night. It escalates pretty quick. She's tossing out all the reasons I should go, and I'm parrying each one like it's a damn fencing match. It's good for networking, Ken, she says. You might land a client, she insists, but I'm firm, right? I don't budge an inch. Then, out of nowhere, her face just turns this shade of red, I swear. You could see from the International Space Station. She's shaking, and with every word slicing through the air between us, she says, you know what? I should have just fucked that guy from Tinder when I had the chance. Reddit. I kid you not. It felt like a punch to the gut. Hey everyone. Unfortunately, basically everyone who is watching these videos isn't subscribed. It would mean the world to me to quickly get out of the full screen video for 3 seconds and press that subscribe button. It's free, and you can unsubscribe anytime. Sorry for bothering, and thank you so much if you subscribed. The room went still, and I swear I could hear my own heartbeat over the Seattle traffic outside. My vision actually tunneled, focusing in on her face, waiting for the laugh, the just kidding. But nothing. She just glared at me, chest heaving, like she's daring me to say something. And me? I'm floored. Shock, confusion, and this raging inferno of anger start to build inside me. But I'm a guy who prides himself on control, you know? So I don't yell, I don't scream, I just feel this cold sort of calm settle over me. My voice is like ice when I finally speak. Excuse me, what did you just say? I ask her, deadpan. She starts backpedaling then, realizing she stepped in it. I didn't mean it, Ken, it's just, you make me so mad sometimes. So, that's it. That's the bombshell my Wednesday served up on a silver platter. And here I am, sitting in my office at home, trying to figure out if my marriage is a lie while Melissa's snoring away like she didn't just drop a grenade in my lap. I'm not a guy who takes this kind of thing lying down, and I'm definitely not in the business of forgiveness when it comes to cheating. So what now? Let it slide, confront her more, hire a PI, hell, I'm half tempted to throw her out with tomorrow's trash. Alright Reddit, Kenneth here again. You guys had a lot to say about my last post. No way she said that, some of you commented. She's definitely messing with you, others said. I wish that were true. But it happened, and now I'm stuck in this mental maze, trying to find the exit. So, the past couple of days have been enlightening, and not in a good way. Every shared space in our apartment feels tainted now, like I'm living in a crime scene. I've been watching Melissa like a hawk, and let me tell you, the things I brushed off before. Now they're red flags big enough for a parade. She's always been private with her phone, but lately, it's like it's glued to her hand or hidden away. If she leaves the room, it's with her. Bathroom, balcony, you name it. And if I come near while she's texting, that thing snaps shut quicker than a bear trap. Late nights out have become a regular thing too. Marketing deadlines, she says. But last I checked, deadlines don't come with a scent of cologne and smudged lipstick. It's like she's not even trying to hide it anymore. I'm furious, guys, like shaking with it. But underneath all that, I'm lost. We've been together for what feels like a lifetime. We've built this life, brick by brick, and now it's like she's taken a sledgehammer to it. How do I handle this? Do I confront her with the bare threads I've got, or do I dig deeper? I've never been one to shy away from confrontation, but this is different. This is messy, and it's personal, and it hurts like hell. I know the standard advice will be, just leave her, bro. However, You don't understand how hard it is to leave everything behind after you trusted and loved a person for years, and suddenly she starts acting that way. The apartment is too quiet tonight. It's just me and my thoughts, and let me tell you, it's loud inside my head. I can't look at her without seeing lies. Can't talk to her without wanting to throw every accusation I have in her face. But I hold back. Because I need to know for sure. I need the truth, no matter how ugly it is. Some of you have been asking for an update, and oh boy, do I have one. You know how they say the truth will come out in the wash? Well, it turns out it can also come out in a coffee shop. Here's the deal. I have this routine, right? Every morning I hit up this little coffee place before work. It's my moment of peace before the day kicks off. I'm scrolling through emails on my phone when I see Melissa's purse on the seat next to me. She must have left it in my truck from last night. Usually I wouldn't care, but after all of that, I am definitely looking in that purse. They're practically a marching band in my head now. So I reach over just to move the purse onto the table, and that's when it happens. A receipt slips out and flutters onto the floor like some sort of twisted invitation. I pick it up, and there it is, a punch to the gut printed on glossy paper. It's a receipt from the Pink Door, fancy Italian place, hard to get reservations, 2 dinners, 2 desserts, and a bottle of red that costs more than my utility bill. But here's the kicker. It's dated for a Tuesday 2 weeks ago. The same Tuesday, Melissa told me she was grinding through a late-night project at work. All I can think of is how stupid she is to keep that receipt, almost if she wanted me to find out about that date. My head's spinning, but I'm a man of details. I can't help it. It's who I am. So, I start piecing it together right there. The date on the receipt burns in my mind, and I cross-reference it with the story she fed me that night. "Working late, don't wait up," her text had said. My heart's racing now because I remember feeling proud of her, putting in the hours. The more I think, the clearer it becomes. There were no emails from her work past 6 that evening, no calls, nothing. She walked in at midnight claiming victory over some big project, but the evidence is right here, screaming that it was all a lie. So, I did what any guy with a spine would do. I took a photo of the receipt with my phone. Evidence. Proof that something's going on behind my back. I put the receipt back where it came from, tuck her purse away, and finish my coffee. My brain's on overdrive, but on the outside, I'm keeping my calm like every man should be able to do. I gotta be smart about this. No half-cocked confrontations. I need a plan, a way to bring all this to light without tipping her off that I'm onto her game. Kenneth here with the latest dispatch from the front lines of marital mayhem. You're not going to believe this, but things have gone from daytime drama to full-blown spy thriller over here. After the coffee shop incident, it's like a switch flipped inside me. The quiet guy, the one who believed in trust and played fair, has left the building. Now I'm hunched over my computer late into the night, Melissa fast asleep and oblivious just down the hall, and I'm digging into our life with the precision of a jeweler assessing diamonds. I started thinking, if Melissa's smart, she wouldn't be using our joint accounts for her excursions. So, I check out her personal credit card, a statement I found tucked away in a drawer, almost like she forgot about it. And there it is, the proof, line after line of expenses that just don't add up. There's a charge from a jeweler that's never once called our apartment home. A string of dinners for 2 at places I've never heard her mention, let alone been to with her. And don't even get me started on the boutique hotel charges that coincide with those overtime nights. But numbers and charges, they can be explained away, right? "It's for a client," or "you don't understand my work," she would say. I needed something concrete, something undeniable. Enter my next move, the phone records. This takes a bit more finesse. I wait until she's in the shower, then it's showtime. I know her passcode. It's her birthday. Go figure. So I slip into her phone and sync the call log with my laptop. I'm looking for patterns, and boy, do I find them. Late night talks, long chats on her way to work, and none of them are with me. My heart's a sledgehammer in my chest, but I'm not done yet. The final play, the GPS tracker, arrives in a plain brown package like it's something ordinary. It's not. It's the key to the last door I haven't opened yet. Installing it under her car is almost too easy. It's like I'm meant to find out, you know? The universe handing me the tools and saying, "Go on, Kenneth, uncover the lies." And the GPS? It's like the world's most depressing game of Where's Waldo. There she is at some random house when she said she was hitting the late sales. Parked outside a fancy restaurant when I got a text about a last-minute meeting. Every new piece of information is a brick in the fortress I'm building, and when I'm done, it's going to be impenetrable. I want to confront her with a case so airtight that even Houdini couldn't escape it. If my life were a movie, I'd be at that part where the music gets real tense and the hero's about to face down the bad guy. Only in this flick, the bad guy is my wife, and the hero is sitting in a pickup truck with a half-eaten sandwich and a thermos of coffee that's gone cold. Here's the scene. I'm parked a block away from this boutique hotel downtown that's so fancy, its doormats probably cost more than my first car. The GPS tracker I planted pings me that Melissa's car is parked there, again. My gut's in knots, but my hands are steady. It's showtime. I've got this routine down to a science now. She leaves work, and like clockwork, her car beelines here. Only this time, I'm waiting. And sure enough, there she is. But she's not alone. With her is Mr. Tinder, the guy from the profile pic that burned itself into my brain the moment I saw it on her phone. A face you don't forget, especially not when he's grinning in a photo on your wife's hidden dating app. They're laughing, and she's got this look that I haven't seen in... hell, I can't even remember. They slip into the hotel, all casual and carefree, like they're just a couple of old friends catching up over coffee. My hands are fists now, every muscle in my body tensed up as if I'm prepping for a fight. I'd watch them walk into the hotel, the way they laughed together, the way she looked at him. It was a look I hadn't seen directed at me in years. I sat there in my truck, hands gripping the steering wheel like it was him, the anger building up inside me like a storm. I waited a few minutes to get my head straight, or at least, I thought I did. Then, I got out and followed them in. My boots were heavy on the plush carpet as I made my way up to their room. I didn't have a key card, but I didn't need one. I was running on something primal, something that didn't care about locked doors or consequences. I knocked on their door, not a polite, hello knock, but a here comes trouble one. The door swung open, and there they were. It wasn't a movie, there were no sheets discreetly draped. It was all too real, too raw. And there's Mr. Tinder looking like he just got the fright of his life. Melissa, she's scrambling, her voice all high-pitched and panicked. Kenneth, it's not what it looks like. But it was. It was exactly what it looked like. Then Mr. Tinder decided to play the tough guy, puffing out his chest, telling me to leave. That's when I lost it. My fist swung before I could even think. But the guy, he was ready. He ducked, and he came back at me with a right hook that felt like a sledgehammer. The room spun. I could taste blood. I tried to fight back, but another hit and I was down, the plush carpet not doing much to cushion the fall. I could hear Melissa screaming, but it was like I was underwater, all muffled and distant. The next thing I know, there's the sharp, sterile scent of an ambulance, EMTs hovering over me. They're talking, but I can't make out the words. It's just noise. My head's pounding, my eyes swelling shut. And as they load me up, I realize just how badly I've lost. The fight, the girl, the whole damn marriage. Hey Reddit, it's Kenneth. Been a while, hasn't it? Last time I was here, I left you hanging with quite the cliffhanger. Well, I've been through the ringer and I'm still standing, though I wasn't sure I would be for a while there. The aftermath of that night at the hotel left me with more than just a black eye. It felt like my soul had gone a few rounds with a heavyweight champ. I was laid up in the hospital, feeling every kind of ache you can imagine. And Melissa? She was blowing up my phone with a barrage of messages, each one a cocktail of excuses, apologies, and pleas. But I just couldn't. Every buzz of my phone was like a jab to the ribs, so I hit ignore like it was the off switch on this whole mess. But here's the thing, Reddit. Lying in that hospital bed, feeling sorry for myself, wasn't cutting it. I needed to get back on my feet, feel strong again. So, I decided it was time to hit something a lot less destructive than Mr. Tinder's jaw. I joined a boxing gym the day after I got out of the hospital. The place was one of those gritty, no-nonsense setups with the smell of sweat and determination thick in the air. It felt right. The ring was a square of potential. The heavy bags were swollen with the promise of catharsis. The first day I stepped into that gym, my whole body felt like it was made of lead. But I wrapped my hands, pulled on the gloves, and started to work the bag. Each punch was weak. My form was laughable. But it was a start. Hey Reddit, Kenneth here for one last update. It's been a few months since the world as I knew it turned upside down. But here I am, standing on the other side of the chaos, in a place I never expected to find myself. I'm coming to you now from the quiet sanctuary of my new place. A villa that's all clean lines and open spaces, with a view of the hills that stretch out like a promise. The divorce papers came through, the ink's dry, and that chapter of my life with Melissa is officially closed. She's with Mr. Tinder now, which stings less than I thought it would. Guess that says a lot about where I'm at these days. This villa, it's a fortress of solitude. There's no trace of Melissa here, no lingering memories in the corners or shadows. I've learned a lot about myself in these silent rooms, about what I want, who I am when I strip away husband from my identity. I've realized I've got to be stronger, not just in the way that punching bags and lifting weights can measure, but in who I trust and how I love. That's the real heavyweight bout, isn't it? Trusting someone enough to let them close after you've been burned. I learned a big lesson, one that cost me a wife and a couple of years of what I thought was happiness. But some lessons, they're worth the price you pay. They have to be, so what's next for me? I'm dipping my toes back into the dating pool. It's a different game now, and I am a different player. I've found peace in the quiet of my new place and the clarity that comes with being on my own. But I'm not planning on being a bachelor forever. I'm stepping out into the world again, a little wiser, a little more careful, but with hope. Hope that there's someone out there who's looking for a guy who's been through the ringer and came out the other side ready to try again. Looking forward to the next hand and hoping for a bit of luck. Thanks for all the advice, the support, and for just being there to listen. It's been real. Thanks everyone for listening, and it would mean the world to me if you could hit that subscribe button. Have a great rest of your day or night.